The Galactic Misunderstanding. The Galactic Confederation's central archives held millions of species records, but none quite perplexed the bureaucratic system as much as the human file. Marked with multiple warning labels and countless annotations, the dossier seemed to vibrate with an inexplicable energy that made even the most seasoned archivists uncomfortable. Ambassador Krelax of the Synaptic Collective studied the holographic projection, his neural tendrils pulsing with a mixture of confusion and mild contempt. Humans, a species from a single planetary system, technologically rudimentary, biologically fragile, yet somehow consistently defying every predictive model the Confederation had ever developed. "They're an anomaly," he muttered to his assistant, a young archivist named Zora. "Look at these early records. Multiple extinction-level events on their home planet, yet they not only survived but continued to evolve and expand." Zara adjusted the holographic display, revealing images of human technological progression. From stone tools to nuclear technology, in what seemed like an evolutionary blink, humans appeared to leap forward with a recklessness that both terrified and fascinated galactic observers. The Confederation's primary concern wasn't human potential, it was human unpredictability. Their rapid technological development, combined with what seemed like an almost suicidal approach to problem-solving, made them a potential galactic wildcard. They developed faster than light communication before fully understanding their own planetary ecosystem, Zara observed, her own neural network processing the information. Their scientists would propose theoretical models and then immediately attempt to prove or disprove them through direct experimental action. Krelax's tendrils coiled in what passed for a laugh in his species. Reckless, utterly reckless, but there's something compelling about their approach. The fundamental misunderstanding between humans and the Galactic Confederation was rooted in perspective. Where other species saw careful, measured progress, humans saw limitations to be challenged. Where others calculated risks, humans saw opportunities for innovation. Unbeknownst to the humans, a decision was being made that would change the course of galactic history. The Confederation's High Council, after extensive debate, had determined that humanity represented a potential threat, not through military might, but through their unpredictable nature and rapid technological adaptation. The solution seemed elegant in its simplicity: exile. Not just to any planet, but to a world so hostile that survival would be nearly impossible. A planet categorized in the most extreme classification, a Class 15 Deathworld. An environment so brutal that it would either destroy the human species or force them into such a narrow survival mode that their potential for expansion would be permanently curtailed. They called the planet Nexus Prime, a name that sounded official but carried an underlying threat. Its atmosphere was a toxic cocktail of reactive gases. Its surface featured electromagnetic storms that could strip the molecular structure from most known materials. Predatory ecosystems existed in a constant state of violent evolution. No species had ever survived prolonged exposure to Nexus Prime. No species, that is, except humans. What the Galactic Confederation failed to understand was that impossible was not a concept humans readily accepted. Where other species saw insurmountable challenges, humans saw engineering problems waiting to be solved. As the first human colony ships prepared for their involuntary relocation, no one in the Confederation noticed the subtle gleam in the eyes of the human delegation. No one caught the barely suppressed excitement of engineers and scientists who saw not a punishment, but the ultimate experimental playground. The exile was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the lead colony ship, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays. Around her, a team of scientists, engineers, and specialists prepared for humanity's most challenging adventure. "Well," she said, a slight smile playing on her lips, "this should be interesting." The descent into darkness. The approach to Nexus Prime was anything but gentle. Colony ships groaned under the immense gravitational and atmospheric pressures, their advanced stabilization systems pushed to absolute limits. Inside, the human colonists braced themselves, not with fear, but with a peculiar mixture of scientific curiosity and determined optimism. Dr. Marcus Chen, lead planetary adaptation specialist, monitored the incoming environmental data with an intensity that bordered on manic excitement. "These readings are incredible," he muttered, more to himself than to his colleagues. "The atmospheric composition alone defies every standard model of planetary habitability." Nexus Prime's surface was a nightmarish landscape of perpetual chaos. Electromagnetic storms created continuous light shows that would have been beautiful if they weren't simultaneously capable of destroying sophisticated electronics in milliseconds. Crystalline formations grew and shifted like living organisms, their molecular structures constantly rearranging in response to the planet's violent environmental cycles. "Incoming storm system," Lieutenant Aria Rodriguez called out, her fingers dancing across holographic control interfaces. "Electromagnetic intensity at 287% above predicted maximum. Standard shielding would be completely compromised in 3 minutes." Commander Elena Rodriguez, no relation to Aria, just another testament to human naming coincidences, studied the incoming data with a calculating gaze. "Adaptive shielding protocols," she ordered. "Marcus, I need you to modify our quantum resilience algorithms in real time." What happened next would become legendary in human colonization history. Instead of panicking or attempting to avoid the incoming storm, the human team treated it like an engineering challenge. Dr. Chen began reprogramming the colony ship's defensive systems, using the storm's own electromagnetic frequencies as a kind of adaptive camouflage. "We're not hiding from the environment," he explained to his team. "We're learning its language." The first landing was anything but graceful. The colony ships touched down in what they optimistically called the potential habitation zone, a region slightly less hostile than the surrounding landscape. Massive crystalline structures loomed like predatory giants, their edges sharp enough to slice through standard environmental suits. Initial reconnaissance teams discovered that survival on Nexus Prime would require more than traditional approaches. The planet's ecosystem was not just dangerous, it was actively intelligent in its hostility. Botanical samples revealed plants with neural-like networks that could detect and respond to potential threats. Geological formations seemed to shift and reconfigure based on external stimuli. Even the atmosphere appeared to have a kind of primitive, reactive consciousness. "It's like the entire planet is one massive, interconnected organism," Dr. Elena Patel, the mission's chief xenobiologist, reported during the first briefing. "And we're not just visitors, we're potential prey." The first settlement, dubbed Prometheus Base, was more of a fortified research station than a traditional colony. Built using a combination of ship materials and locally processed crystalline structures, it represented humanity's first true foothold on this impossible world. What the Galactic Confederation didn't realize was that they hadn't sent humans to a prison. They'd sent them to the most sophisticated research laboratory in the universe. Commander Rodriguez gathered her team for their first official meeting on Nexus Prime. The command center's walls, constructed from locally harvested crystal formations that had been scientifically modified, seemed to pulse with an almost living energy. "We're not here to survive," she told them, her voice carrying a mix of scientific determination and something deeper, a fundamental human refusal to accept limitations. "We're here to understand, and then we're going to thrive." Outside, another electromagnetic storm began to build. But inside Prometheus Base, human ingenuity was already beginning to reshape what was possible. Transformation of survival. 6 months into their exile, Prometheus Base had become something entirely unexpected. What was once a desperate attempt at survival had transformed into a living laboratory of human innovation. Dr. Marcus Chen stood in the central research hub, surrounded by holographic displays that mapped the planet's most intricate environmental systems. The walls themselves were a testament to human adaptability. Constructed from locally sourced crystalline materials that had been genetically modified to provide both structural integrity and advanced computational capabilities. "We're not just surviving, He explained to a group of junior researchers, "We're developing an entirely new approach to planetary colonization." The breakthrough came from an unlikely source. Private Genitores, originally assigned to maintenance and resource management, had noticed something peculiar about the planet's crystalline formations. During a routine geological survey, she discovered that the crystals weren't just geological structures. They were complex, adaptive systems that responded to specific electromagnetic frequencies. It's like the entire planet is one massive interconnected computer, Torres explained during her initial presentation. Her discovery would prove to be the first step in humanity's most remarkable technological revolution. The environmental challenges of Nexus Prime were unlike anything humans had encountered. Electromagnetic storms that could destroy conventional electronics became power sources. Predatory environmental systems that would have killed most species became research opportunities. Chief Engineer Sarah Wong developed what she called reactive adaptive shielding, a technology that didn't just protect against the planet's hostile environment, but actually learned from it. Each storm, each potentially fatal encounter, became a data point for improvement. Traditional defense is about blocking, Wong would often say. Our approach is about understanding and integrating. The first major breakthrough came when the research team discovered how to communicate with the planet's crystalline neural networks. What initially appeared to be random environmental responses were actually complex communication systems. The crystals weren't just geological formations, they were a form of distributed intelligence. Commander Elena Rodriguez oversaw the most ambitious project yet, creating a symbiotic relationship between human technology and the planet's native systems. Instead of fighting against Nexus Prime, they would work with it. The settlement expanded rapidly. What had started as a single research base now included multiple interconnected research stations. Each station was more than just a survival point. It was a living experiment in planetary adaptation. Dr. Elena Patel's xenobiology team made another stunning discovery. The planet's seemingly hostile ecosystem wasn't trying to kill them, it was testing them. Each challenge was a form of complex environmental selection, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. We're not just colonizing a planet, Patel explained during a conference call back to Earth. We're engaging in a form of planetary dialogue that no species has ever attempted before. The communication systems they developed were revolutionary. By understanding the electromagnetic and crystalline communication networks, humans created technologies that could interpret and respond to environmental changes in real time. Private Torres's initial observations had opened a door to something unprecedented. The research team discovered that the crystalline formations could be programmed, not just modified, but actually instructed to perform complex computational tasks. It's like the planet is a massive living computer, Dr. Chen would later report, and we're learning its programming language. As the first year of Exile drew to a close, Prometheus Base was no longer just a human settlement. It had become something entirely new, a hybrid ecosystem where human technology and planetary intelligence merged in ways no one could have predicted. Commander Rodriguez looked out over the settlement during a particularly intense electromagnetic storm. Where others would have seen destruction, she saw opportunity. Where the Galactic Confederation saw a prison, humans saw a frontier. We're not just surviving, she muttered to herself, watching as another wave of crystalline energy danced across the protective shields. We're rewriting the rules of what's possible. The quantum leap. 2 years into their exile, Prometheus Base had become something far beyond a mere research settlement. It was a crucible of technological innovation that would fundamentally reshape humanity's understanding of science, computation, and planetary interaction. The breakthrough came from an unexpected collaboration between Dr. Marcus Chen's computational team and Dr. Elena Patel's xenobiology division. What they discovered went beyond traditional scientific boundaries. They had essentially cracked a new form of quantum computing that used the planet itself as a processing network. We're not just using the planet's crystal formations, Dr. Chen explained during a breakthrough presentation. We're communicating with them. They're not just a computational medium. They're a living, adaptive intelligence. The technology they developed defied every existing scientific model. Traditional quantum computing relied on carefully controlled environments and precise mathematical manipulations. Nexus Prime's computational systems were organic, unpredictable, and infinitely more complex. Chief engineer Sarah Wong called it quantum organic computing, a technology that could adapt, learn, and evolve in real time. The crystalline formations of Nexus Prime weren't just storing information. They were processing it, interpreting it, and responding to it with a complexity that made human-designed supercomputers look like abacuses. Private Genitoris, whose initial observations had sparked this line of research, had become a key figure in understanding the planet's communication networks. Her team developed translation algorithms that could interpret the electromagnetic and crystalline communication patterns. It's like learning a language, Torres would later say, except the language is spoken by an entire planet. The practical applications were revolutionary. The reactive adaptive shielding they had developed could now predict and mitigate environmental threats before they even emerged. Energy generation became a cooperative process with the planet. Electromagnetic storms that would have destroyed conventional technology were now harvested and transformed into pure, clean energy. Commander Elena Rodriguez oversaw the most ambitious project yet, creating a symbiotic network that connected every human settlement on Nexus Prime. Each research station became a node in a planet-wide computational network that could process information faster and more efficiently than any existing technology. "We're not just surviving on this planet," Rodriguez announced during a critical briefing. "We're becoming part of it." The medical implications were equally profound. Dr. Elena Patel's team discovered that the planet's crystalline structures could be used to create adaptive medical technologies. Treatments that could instantaneously respond to changing biological conditions, regenerative technologies that worked in harmony with the body's natural processes, all became possible. Weapons development took an unexpected turn. Instead of creating tools of destruction, the human teams developed defensive technologies that could adapt and neutralize threats without causing harm. The reactive adaptive shielding could now not just protect against physical threats, but could actually communicate and negotiate with potential sources of conflict. As their third year on Nexus Prime approached, the human settlements had transformed from desperate survival outposts to the most advanced technological research center in known space. What the Galactic Confederation had intended as a form of exile had become humanity's greatest opportunity. During a routine communication with Earth, Dr. Chen couldn't help but chuckle. "Remember when they thought sending us here would stop us?" he said to his colleagues. "They've basically given us the most sophisticated research laboratory in the universe." The final piece of the puzzle came during an extraordinary moment of planetary communication. The crystalline networks of Nexus Prime didn't just store information. They seemed to have a form of collective intelligence. They were learning from the humans, just as the humans were learning from them. Commander Rodriguez stood in the Central Command Center, watching as another electromagnetic storm transformed into a complex data transmission. The lines between human technology and planetary intelligence were blurring. "We're not just adapting to this planet," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "We're evolving with it." First Contact Reimagined. The first alien trade vessel that approached Nexus Prime arrived with a mixture of trepidation and curiosity. Captain Zarax of the Quantum Horizon, a veteran trader from the Syndicate conglomerate, expected to find a barren wasteland with perhaps a few desperate human survivors. Instead, she found a technological marvel that would reshape galactic economics forever. Incoming transmission, her communication officer announced, mandibles clicking with nervous energy. "It's not like any communication protocol we've ever encountered." The message that arrived defied every standard communication model. It wasn't just a simple greeting. It was a complex, multidimensional data packet that simultaneously conveyed communication, technological specifications, and a diplomatic invitation. Commander Elena Rodriguez appeared on the holographic display, her image surrounded by swirling crystalline data streams that seemed to breathe and move with an organic intelligence of their own. "Greetings," she said, a slight smile playing on her lips. "We understand you might be looking for some rather unique technological solutions." What followed was not a traditional first contact scenario. The humans didn't desperately seek trade or recognition. They presented a catalog of technologies so advanced that it made the syndicate's most sophisticated systems look like primitive toys. Quantum organic computing systems that could predict and adapt to complex environmental and computational challenges. Medical technologies that could regenerate tissue and neutralize genetic disorders. Energy generation systems that could power entire star systems using nothing more than the planet's natural electromagnetic fields. The price? Surprisingly reasonable. The humans weren't looking to exploit. They were looking to exchange knowledge. Dr. Marcus Chen explained their approach during the initial trade negotiations. "We're not selling products," he told the stunned syndicate representatives. "We're offering a collaborative approach to technological development." The first trade agreements sent shockwaves through the Galactic Confederation. Within months, human technologies began transforming entire industrial sectors. Planetary development became more sustainable. Energy production became clean and infinitely scalable. Medical treatments became adaptive and personalized. But it wasn't just about the technology. The humans had developed something far more dangerous, a completely new approach to interspecies cooperation. Where other civilizations saw competition, humans saw opportunity for mutual growth. Where traditional diplomatic channels were rigid and formal, human interactions were fluid, adaptive, and fundamentally collaborative. Private genitores, now leading intercultural communication research, developed translation technologies that went beyond simple language conversion. These systems could interpret cultural nuances, emotional contexts, and even potential misunderstandings before they occurred. "Communication isn't just about words," she would explain. "It's about understanding the entire context of interaction." The Galactic Confederation watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. The species they had tried to exile was now becoming a central hub of technological and diplomatic innovation. Intelligence reports began to paint a disturbing picture for the traditional power structures. Humans weren't just participating in galactic society, they were fundamentally reshaping it. Commander Rodriguez understood the deeper strategy. Every technological exchange, every diplomatic interaction was an opportunity to demonstrate a new model of interspecies collaboration. "We're not just selling technology," she told her senior staff during a strategy meeting. "We're offering a new way of thinking about progress." As the 5th year of their exile concluded, the humans of Nexus Prime had transformed from exiled colonists to the most sought-after technological and diplomatic partners in the known galaxy. The Galactic Confederation's attempt to contain humanity had failed spectacularly. They hadn't just survived. They had thrived beyond anyone's wildest imagination.